Hi, I'm Aurora Winter, the founder of the Grief Coach Academy and the author of From Heartbreak to Happiness and Encouraging Words. I'm going to teach you some things so that you will never be at a loss for words again when you're dealing with a friend or family member who's dealing with some crisis, stress, or heartbreak. I'll teach you some things you must never say and also 3 steps you must take in that initial conversation. But before I launch into the content, I thought you might want to know a little bit about me and why the heck do I have this obsession with happiness? Well, here's my story. 20 years ago, my husband died suddenly, and he was only 33, and we were best friends, business partners, and he was the father of our 4-year-old son. So in that one night, as you can probably imagine, my entire life shattered. I felt like Humpty Dumpty, that I'd fallen off the wall and my life had broken into a million pieces. And I didn't know then how to put the pieces back together again, but I was determined to figure out how. And long story short, I figured out how to help myself go from heartbreak to happiness. And now I train coaches at the Grief Coach Academy how to do the same and have an efficient 9-step recipe each and every time to help themselves or others go from heartbreak to happiness. So that explains my obsession, and now you get to benefit from those years of study, and I'll give you this free training video. So grief is a normal and natural reaction to loss. You don't need to be a therapist, but you do need some key communication tools, and I'm going to give them to you. I mean, have you ever struggled for what to say to a friend who's going through divorce? Or perhaps you're a mom and you've wondered how to console your child after the dog dies. Or maybe you're the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company and you have to rally your team even in the face of layoffs of some of the favorite employees. What do you do and what can you say that will make a difference between people going into bitter or choosing to be inspired and become better? How you show up can make a world of difference. First, there are 3 steps that you must take in that initial conversation with anybody who's heartbroken. They might be heartbroken because they're going through a death or divorce. They might have just learned that they have a child who's just been diagnosed with autism. Or perhaps their parent can no longer look after themselves and they have Alzheimer's and they're considering sending them to a home. All of these situations are a normal part of life, but you need to know how to communicate. Here are 3 steps that will help you with that conversation. First, acknowledge. After my husband died, our son was only 4, but he literally would not enter his friend's home without first saying, "My dad is dead." And his little 4-year-old friend would say, "Oh," and that was all they needed. And then he would enter the home and they'd go off and play with Lego or whatever. And we can all learn from the innocent directness of children. You need to acknowledge the situation. Paradoxically, that provides a sense of relief. The second thing to do is to listen without fixing. I mean, I love men. They're always about fixing things, but some things can't be fixed. And I want you to know what an enormous gift you give when you're willing to just listen without fixing. It's a huge relief for a heartbroken person to have a safe space to communicate. If you don't have somebody who can listen to you, then I urge you to get a grief coach. Having a coach to get you through these challenging times is not a nice to have, but a necessary strategy, and it can dramatically shorten the time to recover from that typical 5 to 8 years on average, as reported in Time magazine, to just a matter of months to go from pain till peace. And the third step is to give hope and encouragement. And we're going to be talking more about that in this video, what you can say or do to give hope and encouragement. Your words make a world of difference, so choose them wisely. But do these 3 steps in that sequence. First, acknowledge, then listen without fixing, and then when the person feels heard, that's the opportunity to give hope and encouragement. I want to share some things to say and some things not to say to people who are devastated. In fact, they've done studies, and within 48 hours of any tragedy, people hear over 100 common things. And of those, only about 19 are helpful. So if it's something everybody else says or something that's coming automatically out of your mouth, probably not a good thing to say. Some things that you don't want to say are, "It just takes time," Again, according to that study in Time magazine, it typically takes 5 to 8 years. It doesn't just take time, it takes action. For example, if you had a flat tire, and you pull to the side of the road, if you just wait, you might be waiting a very, very, very long time. But if you call AAA, they'll come and they'll change your tire. But it's not the 30 minutes that it takes AAA to come and change your tire that changes it. It's AAA. And now I'm training coaches at the Grief Coach Academy, and effectively, we're AAA. We'll come and change your tire or help you with your broken heart. So don't believe the myth that just takes time. Well-meaning people who really cared about me told me that after my husband died. And so I waited. It does not just take time, it takes action. Please don't say, don't feel bad. In fact, you want to be a safe space for the person to express their authentic feelings. And maybe they feel bad. So don't feel bad doesn't acknowledge and allow them to express their true feelings. You also don't want to say things like people said to me at my late husband's funeral, well, you're young, you can find another husband. Whew, what does that have to do with it? That trivializes his death. That man was my husband. That man was the father of our son. That man was my soulmate. That man was the person I had built a life with. It trivializes it to say you can get another husband or another wife. And please don't tell people who are dealing with the death of a child, well, you're young, you can have other children. Or don't say, at least you already have other children. What does that have to do with it? They are grieving the loss of that child. Whether it's a child or whether it's a miscarriage, people are grieving. So those are some things not to say. Surprisingly, you don't want to say, I know how you feel. People often say that thinking that will provide comfort, but it kind of communicates, don't tell me about it already because I get it. I know how you feel. But the truth is you don't know. Even if you've been through something similar, you don't have the same relationship, and it's not the same day. I mean, if you've read my book, From Heartbreak to Happiness, that was one person, me, dealing with the same experience, the death of my husband, but from one day to the next, I had completely different feelings. So don't say, I know how you feel, because that shuts down communication. Don't say things like, you need to be strong, you need to keep busy, you need to be grateful. I mean, it is good to be grateful, but it's not helpful when you are sentenced to being grateful rather than just being heard and being allowed the space to figure out the situation. And that's the gift that you can be by just listening with an open heart and caring. Now, let's move on to some good things to say, shall we? Some good things to say include, you're not alone. You've got a support team, and I'm on it. That is so reassuring whether somebody's dealing with a death, divorce, or their own illness. It's wonderful to know that they're not alone. It's also wonderful for you to remind the person of their inner strengths and how they have overcome other adversity in the past. You might say to your brother, when you got fired, you had to marshal all your resources, but then you landed an even better job. I know that you're resourceful, and so you'll be able to deal with this divorce as well. And like I said, I'm also here for you. So that would be an example of something that's encouraging to say. You also could say things like, what was your relationship like? And let them tell you about it. It's not so helpful to ask about feelings, but you can ask about facts like, what did the doctor say? Or how did you find out? Or do you have anybody to talk to about this? These are all helpful questions. And you know what? If you don't know what to say and you're at a complete loss for words, a really wonderful thing to say is, I don't know what to say. It's so much better than an automatic, I'm sorry, because it's your truth in the moment. So if you can't remember anything else, you can remember that when it's your truth. Just say, I don't know what to say. You can be heartfelt, you can be connected, and it invites the person to kind of fill it in for you. In the same way, if you ask, I can't imagine what your life might be like right now, or I can't imagine, is your world upside down, with kind of a question mark, that invites the person to fill it in. And the other lovely thing to say, which is one of my favorites, is grief is a normal and natural reaction to loss. I know after my husband died, I was like, wow, is this ever intense? I'd never experienced such intense emotions. And so it's very reassuring to hear grief is a normal and natural reaction to loss. In fact, if you weren't grieving after someone that you love died, then you would need therapy. So those are some reassuring things to say and some really good things to say. What I'd love to invite you to do is to have a conversation about this that we can share online. What are some encouraging things that other people said to you? You can post your comments below. Or what's the most encouraging thing that you did or shared with somebody when they were going through a tough time? I'd love to hear your comments, and perhaps you will inspire other people. And perhaps you'll also win a prize. We're going to give prizes away to the 5 people who share the most helpful things in the space in the comments below. It might be encouraging words, or it might be some other comment that others will find encouraging and helpful when they're dealing with stress, heartbreak, or a major life change. And the grand prize is pretty awesome. It's a flight plus hotel plus invitation to the next Grief Coach Academy training event. Now, whether you're a coach or not, you're going to learn so many things at this event that will change your life. Heartbreak is inevitable. Stress is inevitable. Death, divorce, disappointments, these are all part of the fabric of life. But what's not inevitable is having the tools in your toolkit to overcome these challenges more quickly and more easily to help yourself and help others. At the Grief Coach Academy, I devote my life to helping people just like you make a difference to their friends, their family, and their coaching clients. So I think you'll really get a lot of value out of the upcoming event, and I hope that you win the prize. So please enter your comments below, and we'll continue this conversation online. And now I'd like to share a video from a recent TV appearance to give you even more information and inspiration.
You're watching KCAL 9 News at noon.
All right, have you been laid off, dumped, discouraged? Almost everyone experiences heartbreak sometime, but how do we recover?
We have an expert on that topic who has written a book on it, as a matter of fact. It's called From Heartbreak to Happiness, and Aurora Winter is here with some helpful tips to help us overcome some setbacks we may encounter. Thanks for being here.
Great to be here with you, Dave.
We're just saying you know firsthand about setback, huh?
I do. My husband died suddenly at the age of 33. We were best friends, we were business partners, and we had a 4-year-old son. So in that one night, my entire life shattered and turned upside down. But since then, fast forward 20 years, I figured out how to put the pieces of my life back together again, and I've devoted my life to helping other people go from heartbreak to happiness more quickly and easily.
I'm sure that when that happened, when your husband died suddenly, that you felt like you just wanted to pull the covers up over your head, but you had a child that you had to focus on.
I had a child, and he really saved my life. I mean, I had moments where I felt suicidal. You know, stress literally kills. People can take their own life through suicide. We've heard, you know, Mary Kennedy's story today. Apparently suicide due to divorce. But stress can also kill you less actively through cancer, disease, heart attacks, other ways. But yeah, my 4-year-old son literally saved my life, because when I had those moments like, this isn't even worth it, what's the point? There was the point. Yeah.
You talk about 3 questions that can turn your life around after going through something like this.
I think the 3 questions that can turn your life around are, you know, what if something good is happening here? You know, where could be the gift that's hidden in this situation? And then the 3rd question is, how can I help others? You know, I've founded the Grief Coach Academy because I'm so determined to help people go from heartbreak to happiness more quickly. On average, people suffer 5 to 8 years. Wow. 5 to 8 years is too long to be in that gray zone after a death, a divorce, or the loss of a career. With the right recipe, people can go from heartbreak to happiness much more quickly. But for anyone, whatever you're suffering, you might be dealing with a special needs child with autism. You might be brave like Sandra and share your story of dealing with cancer. You can help other people by sharing your story, by being a coach, a consultant, speaker, author. How can you help others is a really powerful, life-changing question.
And you talk about the fastest way to do that. What is the fastest way? What's in that recipe?
Well, there's a 9-step recipe that I teach at the Grief Coach Academy. There's 9 one-hour coaching sessions that we do, but what I can give you in a few minutes is focus on gratitude. Keep a gratitude journal. You know, writing down just 5 things every day that you're grateful for can change your life. They've done studies about that. And thank other people. Do random acts of kindness and also deliberate acts of kindness. Thank a mentor, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, a teacher. You know, choose to write a heartfelt card to them and thank them and appreciate them. Most people think that their happiness is out of their control, but Abraham Lincoln said happiness is an inside job, and it truly is. 40% of our happiness can change in a moment by asking a powerful question.
And it sounds like focusing on other people is a big part of that.
Focusing on other people is a huge part of it. It's paradoxical, you know, the fastest way to our own happiness is to serve to help other people. I think, you know, resistance creates stress. Acceptance creates opportunities. And when you're at that door, you know, I shouldn't be fired, I shouldn't be divorced, he shouldn't have died, I shouldn't have a special needs child with autism. You're at that door and it's not opening and it's not opening. But when you accept that situation, you go, huh, what else is around here? Oh, there's another door that's open. Oh, there's another door that's open. Oh, there's a window that's open. Oh, there's a dog I can play with. Oh, there's a new friend. You know, so accepting what is the ticket to changing your life and changing the lives of others by, you know, contributing by sharing, by being author, speaker, spokesperson, mentor, coach, whatever the case may be.
And you coach other coaches, right?
Yes, I train coaches at the Grief Coach Academy. There are 50 million people right now in the U.S. who are dealing with heartbreak, and they suffer that typical 5 to 8 years. So my life's work is changing that statistic, and I realize no matter how fast I can talk, even though I stutter sometimes, I can't possibly do it alone. So I'm training a team of coaches, and they are choosing different niches, you know, special needs children with autism, divorce, death, phobias, all kinds of different niches. You know, when your parents get old and they get Alzheimer's, that's a different niche. And so together, we are going to change that statistic. People will know it doesn't just take time. It takes action, and there's a team of people out there to help them.
All right. Aurora, thank you for the work you're doing. Thanks for being here today.
I hope you enjoyed that TV interview. So please take advantage of the PDF that you see below. Print it out. Memorize the good things to say, and the not so good things to say, please avoid them. And share this video with a couple of friends and family members. I'd love to spread the word. It's not people's fault when they say things that, ow, land like that. They just haven't been taught. So you can help them, help your friends, help your family, help your coworkers by sharing this video with them. And again, please post your comments for encouraging words that you have to share with other people. Upcoming in the rest of this free training video series, I'm going to teach you some secrets that the most successful communicators, coaches, and leaders know, and how you can take advantage of that. I'm going to show you how you can see at a glance when your life is off balance, and some quick and easy things you can do to get yourself back on track. And I'm also going to share with you a really great one-page daily planner that can double your happiness and your productivity. You're going to love, love, love that. And I'm going to share some myths that keep people stuck in grief and what to do about that, as well as some myths that prevent people from living up to their full potential and making the significant difference, the significant income, and the significant impact that they could. So I look forward to continuing this conversation online. I look forward to reading your comments, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.